Welcome to the Gruber Morning Show. We're doing an impromptu show at this moment, streaming on a number of platforms. And we normally don't do one on Friday, but today we thought it was important because we have just crossed over 1 million subscribers on the Gruber Motor Company channel. And the count this morning, we knew that it was going to exceed 1 million subscribers, and we were hoping that it would be during the day, because what we would then be able to do was to have the alumni here and actually have a celebration to make this event, or to memorialize this event. What I have on the screen here currently is the current live update screen, and we can bring that up on a screen here. We're in excess of 1 million at this point. Going to get that up there in a second here. Here we go. And every time you refresh this, oh, there you go. You can see that there's some continuing incremental counts. The little balloons at the top there. Wayne Levitt joined us. Thank you. And by the way, a shout out to our audience. It was really you guys that made this possible. What we did behind the scenes was a lot of work, 5 years worth of development, creating videos, live shoots, and walking around the Gruber Motor Company, the service area, finding interesting things to take videos of live. We had guests. And I'm going to go through some of those videos with you. We have over 1,500 videos out there on that Gruber Motor Company channel. And it is a variety of things. But let me show you what the chart looked like this morning. And I thought that we were going to be able to catch it while we were all at work. This was around 4:30 or so. We had 538 subscribers to go before we hit 1 million. And by the time I got done with my shower, this is what I saw. So we had already exceeded 1 million, and I missed it. We missed it, but it was a great transition, and we would love to have had all of you there to join us for this monumental transition to 1 million plus. YouTube, Wayne Levitt says, congratulations to you all. You deserve it 100%. And the social media team, of course, is here. They're also able to hear that. So how much work has gone into this? Well, let me show you some of the videos that we have been evolving. Somewhere along the way, about a year or so ago, Jesse and I decided, there's so much artificial intelligence information that's being released every single day. Why don't we have a podcast and just discuss some of this to help people overcome their fear of anything new like this? There is a lot of FUD circulating about AI, and Hollywood has really propagated a lot of that. Even some of the notable people in the AI space would issue warnings. AI is dangerous. Be careful. It might exterminate humanity. But none of them ever articulated why. What would motivate this? Why would something infinitely more intelligent than us be interested in power, greed, killing, any of that? We always took issue with that to this very day. And anyway, every Wednesday at 10 o'clock, we have an AI podcast. One of our first was very controversial. It was titled God's New Voice, ? Could AI become God's new voice? ChatGPT at the time. And the basic premise there is, when you talk to God through prayer, you don't get any direct answers. He doesn't have a voice. He doesn't communicate with you directly. What you're looking for is manifestations in your life. Wouldn't it be great if you could have a conversation with a godlike deity that is infinitely smarter than us? The conversation might go something like this. God, I would like you to help me with the stock market. And tomorrow morning, I want to have a few $100 million in my portfolio. And he might just say, there are better ways to make money. And I can't really be unfair and give you that kind, or to honor your request, because it would be unfair to all the other humans on this planet. So you might have dialogue with a intelligent entity like this, which would be quite educational, actually. So that was the basic premise of this video. And if you're interested, by the way, any of these I'm popping up are on the Gruber Motor Company channel. Then we have celebrity guests from time to time. This is a comedian, Mark Normand, and he actually came to visit us. And he had a lot of great one-liners as we took him on a tour through Gruber Motor Company. And it was a great video. But again, he's not the only celebrity that we've had. We have another one here. Where did I put it? Here we go. Sandy Munro at one point joined us on our podcast, and he's well known in the EV space. He's called the Teardown Titan. He basically takes electric vehicles and they do a reverse engineering process, sometimes even on camera, and a deep dive to show how these vehicles are constructed, what some of the pitfalls are. And it's a combination of praise and derision based on engineering mistakes that he feels that they may have made. Again, an expert weighing in on a certain construction of vehicles. We have another one here. This one is one of our first, and this was like 5 years ago. This was the Gruber Motor Company building while under construction. And what we do is provide a full tour of the evolution of what we call the auto shop of the future. What does it take to create one of these? And, I know we're doing something right, because there's a lot of feedback that we get from other EV type operations starting up that say, I watched your videos, I got a lot of inspiration, I got a lot of information about how to do this, this, or this, and can you guide me a bit further? Here's another interesting one. This one was actually at a Tesla takeover in Flachau, Austria in May of this year. I was invited as a guest speaker, and the topic that I chose, everybody else was talking about the next generation of Tesla vehicles and, the options, and there were vendors there that were talking about their aftermarket products. The topic I chose was, what would happen if Tesla didn't make it with the Tesla Roadster? Would there have been an EV revolution? And if there was, who would have started it? Remember, GM gave up on the EV1. In fact, they plainly stated there's no market in electric vehicles. And the other companies that are now prevalent, Rivian and Nikola and, Lucid, didn't exist at the time. So which of the incumbents that were making ICE engine cars would have had the vision and foresight to help spawn and create the EV revolution? It's a good video. It's about a half an hour or so in Flachau, Austria. I recommend, if you want to speculate on that topic, this is a good one to watch. We oftentimes support local meetups, whether it's a Roadster meetup, whether it's, in this case, it was an EV meetup at the Arizona Biltmore at the Supercharger. And since part of our mission is to promote the transition to sustainable energy use for transportation, we support these kinds of causes. Oftentimes, in the Roadster community, if there is a meetup occurring somewhere in the United States, we have a Roadster podcast that airs every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, right after the general EV podcast. And we talk about the events that are coming up. So if you have anything you'd like us to promote, we're more than happy to do so in that Tuesday podcast. Other times, we've done videos on financial topics. And our CFO, Mark Schaffner, who joins me on the EV podcast every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., is a financial wizard. And he oftentimes weighs in on, why is the stock going down? What does it mean when they're doing a split? And at this point in time, he felt that everyone was wrong about Lucid, and some FUD was swirling about them, and the stock was tanking a bit. He also weighed in on this most current dilution of stock for Lucid. So if you want up-to-date, accurate financial insights, Mark is a great one, and we oftentimes do videos or talk about it in our podcasts. TikTok user with a long number string after it is chiming in. He says, I'm still in awe of how much the Model S got right on the first try in 2009. I agree with that. There was some very talented people that are still there, by the way. Franz von Holzhausen, lead designer. And you're right. It was the creative vision and the talented people that were hired at Tesla. Team building is one of their strengths, by the way. And a visionary like Steve Jobs that we have in Elon Musk, who is driving a lot of this innovation and setting the standards at the company. But you're right. The Model S was a wild success and really helped launch Tesla. All right, here's another one. This was an interesting video that we did 3 years ago, I believe. This is the first mechanic at Tesla. And Jameson Cummings, employee number 197. And we had him on the podcast, and he gave us all kinds of insights, what the early days at Tesla were like. One of the things that was most revealing was he came to visit us, and I took him through our, what was at that time EV Preserve, which is now a dedicated building that houses and stores exotic electric vehicles. We have Founders number 3 Roadster there and Founders number 3 Model S. And the Model S, being one of the first generation cars, has a bunch of panel gaps. So I asked Jameson, I said, you were there during the day. What's with the panel gaps that everybody complains about that they finally resolved and got right? He says, I know exactly what happened. Because he was there. He says they hired a tooling type engineer from the ice world, used to stamping steel panels. He didn't realize that stamping aluminum was different in that the metal relaxes after the stamp, so you have to overcompensate. So they ended up scrapping a bunch of stamping equipment to make the Model S body panels until they got it right. All right, here's another great video. A lot of people don't know about this car, but we cover EV history. This is the AC Propulsion Systems T0. There were only 3 made, and it was the inspiration behind the Tesla Roadster. And this includes Martin Eberhard, who went to AC Propulsion, saw this car clicking off 4-second 0 to 60 clock times at Laguna Seca, and decided that he wanted to be in the electric sports car business. This is an EV. It's the first EV sports car, actually. And he ended up being so inspired that he went to Lotus and said, I want to create an electric car company, and I would like to start with sports cars. So will you sell me empty shells or gliders that we can electrify? And that was the genesis or the beginnings of the Tesla Roadster, inspired by the T0 and its performance. So this video tells you all about that car. What you see on the right there is, unfortunately, we had a fire in 2017 that consumed 7 Tesla Roadsters, a Viper, 2008 ACR Viper, and one of the T0s, one of the 3 in existence. So there are 2 left. If you're interested in actually seeing a T0, there are 2 of them currently at the Peterson Auto Museum in Los Angeles. We have Wayne Levitt chiming in. He says, I absolutely love my old 2015 Model S 85D. It's amazing to drive in Australia. Yeah, it seems like the Model S's are timeless design. They don't seem to age. They continue to perform. And we have a number of them here, actually, ourselves. All right. Then sometimes we do funny videos. This one was a spoof video. What we did here was We our machine shop manager has a Ford F650. It's a behemoth of a vehicle with all kinds of torque and horsepower, big gigantic diesel. We happen to have an orange Roadster matching the color of this F-160 Ford, 650 Ford. And we decided to stage a vehicle pull, like a tractor pull. And guess what? The Roadster won. Now, we all know that it didn't really, but there were a number of people that believed this to be true and blamed us unmercilessly, saying, come on, this is staged. Of course it was staged. But anyway, it's a fun video. We do create some humorous ones from time to time. And of course, in real life, there's absolutely no way that a 2,700-pound Tesla Roadster could fight an F650 with a big diesel packed in it. What do you think, Aaron? You're back there in social media. Is this remotely possible?
I believe it 100% because I like my paycheck.
Good answer, actually. All right, here's another one. If you remember, Joe Biden, who for whatever reason does not like Tesla or Elon Musk, at one point publicly stated that GM was leading the world's transition to electric vehicles. He was so wrong. It was painful. So we decided to create a video, and we gave Joe a lot of slack. We said, it's not Joe's fault. It's his script writers that were at fault by passing on incorrect information. At that point in history, when this statement was made, Tesla dominated the global creation of electric vehicles, especially in the United States. There wasn't anyone that was even near close to that. So we had a lot of fun with this video, and hopefully Joe saw it and got an education about who's really leading the EV charge. Here's one. This video is our most successful video. And it took off on Reddit. It took off on a number of different platforms, but it was one of our first, and it's in the hundreds of thousands of views. We, of course, created the rusted out hulk of a car here, put a Tesla symbol on it, and it continues to this day to be one that people view. We're in a unique position at Gruber Motor Company in that we're able to see the aging out of Tesla vehicles. The predominant car that we work on, Tesla car, is the Tesla Roadster, which is now going on 16 years. Because of the amount of work we do on them and the quantity that we rebuild and service and repair, we're able to see the aging issues with the Teslas, which oftentimes are a predictor for what will happen to the next generation Teslas. So we have a good, clean, accurate perspective on this, and this video talks about that. Instagram, T9.Destiny just joined us. He's congratulating us for the 1 million. Thank you. And again, as I pointed out earlier, it's really you guys, our audience, that created this 1 million transition of subscribers. All right. So here's another video. This one is a family and one of the pioneers of global EV travel, Rafael de Mestre, along with a Czechoslovakian family that were traveling the world together now in a Model S and a Model 3 or a Model Y, I think. But they came to visit us, which Rafael has been here at least 3 times. And we're honored that people from the industry like this see us as important enough to visit the auto shop of the future. We rebuilt Rafael's Roadster about 2 years ago or so. It came all the way from Hamburg, Germany, hard bricked, came over on a clipper ship because he's a proponent of emission-free transportation. Unfortunately, Tesla did not have their semi-trucks operating yet, so from the Florida dock in Miami, it had to come overland with a diesel vehicle. But from there, the car continued after we repaired it, rebuilt it, and upgraded it. And Rafael went around the world twice in that car, and now he's doing it with this Model S. He is going to be finishing up in Barcelona, Spain. I think the hardest journey for him, or the hardest portion of his route, was China, A lot of regulations. The cars were impounded for a while. And then, of course, he had to avoid parts of Russia because of all of the political unrest there currently. So he took a southerly route. But you know, Raphael is really a pioneer. He does not believe in borders. He says if you go into space and you take a look at planet Earth, you don't see any delineation or lines between countries. We are all one planet. And from that premise, he is an ambassador that travels on, around the world promoting emission-free transportation. So our hats off to Raphael de Mestre and the Czechoslovakian family who brought 3 kids along, by the way. Wonderful family who joined him on this last trip. This video, by the way, gives you some of those details. Now, sometimes I get into politics, and it's very rare because I'm the least political person you'll ever meet. But this particular one really bugged me. So I decided to do a video and send a message to President Putin. And this was when he first did that incursion into Ukraine and decided that he was going to topple the government there. And my message to him basically is knock it off. This is a sovereign country. They deserve to be self-determining. And you coming in is a complete breach of all international codes. So again, this is one of the few political ones I've done, although later on you'll see, or in this next one, you'll see that I also from there started to do some rants. And basically these videos, and there are a number of them out there, these are things that tick me off. You know, the legal profession up until the 1970s in the last century was a noble profession with professionals. Then the Supreme Court allowed advertising by attorneys, and the next thing you ended up with is a whole new genre of legal representatives. Ambulance chasers is probably the best word for that. And what my video here does is it talks about how this noble profession has declined. All right, Tesla Model S battery. Here we go. This is also one of our most popular videos, and we're talking about 1,500 of them out there, actually more than that. We have a number of shops that have contacted us and said, you know, thank you for the video. It gave us some insight and encouragement that we too can create an auto shop of the future based on the successes that you're having. We are also now adopting some of these, and you've been an inspiration to us. So a lot of independent EV repair shops are popping up as a result of videos like this, and we're not the only ones. Rich Rebuilds, for example, with his Dolores video about a flood damage car that he bought, it gave people in the repair business some confidence that it can be done. And I think Rich did an even more spectacular job showing that you can even do this in your backyard and use a butter knife to take most things apart on a Tesla. He, by the way, chimed in on our last podcast and congratulated on us that we were close to reaching 1 million. Here's a great video. We have a local customer that decided that he wanted to prove that a Tesla Model S Plaid could be turned into a submarine. So he spent lots of money, bought a Tesla Model S Plaid during the worst time when they were in short supply, limited production, and paid way more for a used one than even a new one. But he was adamant. He wanted to prove that this car could be a submarine. He went even a step further. He went out to PIR, which is a racetrack southeast of here. He had a large ditch dug, lined it with polyethylene or some sort of a PVC plastic to contain water, and then spent days filling this to make a mini lake in preparation for driving this car underwater. He also brought his Plaid to our Gruber Motor Company service center and had it prepared for water or for being a submarine. What we did was we closed off certain vent ports underneath so that the water would not flood into the cabin. And we also protected some connectors so that the CAN signals wouldn't go awry. Well, first pass through this mini lake that he created, and it's in the video for those of you interested, was unsuccessful in that the car floated a bit. Even though he put about 2,000 pounds of weights in the back, he went to Target, bought some, lifting type weights, and filled the back up with weight. He did it again a second time, and this time put even more weight in, and he successfully proved that yes, you can turn a Tesla into a submarine. All right. Now we get to 2021. We had a fire in 2017. We caused it by overcharging a Tesla Roadster battery. There wasn't much documentation available back then, and we were overcharging, and it caught on fire. In 2021, 4 years later, we had another fire in the replacement building. And the cause of this one was an electrical fire. Now, you often think, well, you only get struck by lightning once, right? Well, we thought that about a fire. It turns out that it can happen twice, and it did, and it was tragic. The first fire consumed our cars only. There were no customer cars. They were only our cars, and 7 Roadsters lost their life in that fire. The second one, however, was a bit different. We had 21 customer Roadsters in this building, and once the fire spread to a battery pack, all bets were off because lithium-ion fires are extremely hard to extinguish. And of course, with that many cars in the building, it spread fairly quickly. What you see here in the thumbnail picture, I'll increase it a bit, is a flood of water coming out the front door. They were pumping 6,000 gallons of water per minute into the building with 2 ladder trucks. The roof section had already burnt off, so they were pumping the water directly overhead onto the cars. And despite that much water going in, it still took hours to extinguish the fire. If you're interested in the video, it's a sad one to watch if you love cars, especially if you love Tesla Roadsters, but we felt that it was appropriate to document this event. This is another series of videos that we do quite commonly, and these are the how-to series, tutorials in other words. We get a lot of great feedback about this, and this particular one is how to refinish Tesla Roadster headlights. We feel that anything that we've learned, we feel an obligation to share. And there are a number of videos out there like this that will edify and educate a Roadster owner or an EV owner in general as to how to take care of their car or things that we found to be successful. So we're sharing best practices. At times we did videos on special cars that showed up. This is the world's only chrome-wrapped Tesla Roadster. I must admit it's a bit dangerous driving that in Phoenix, Arizona in the middle of summer. It's pretty bright, a lot of daylight reflected, a lot of sun being reflected. But this is a unique Roadster. It lives in San Diego. And when these special cars come in, we oftentimes will do a video as to the history of the car, what we've done with the car to share with the community. Instagram, T9.Destiny asks a question, what do I think about EV in the next 20 years? First of all, no one anticipated the rapid adoption of electric vehicles, and I can safely say that even Elon miscalculated, Martin Eberhard. This was originally scheduled to be a cottage industry. We're all pleasantly surprised that EVs are taking over the planet. What do I think within the next 20 years? Folks, it's not just EVs that are going to knock our socks off. There are technological advancements coming that are beyond our comprehension. Humanoid robots, for example. The introduction of artificial intelligence into all areas of our lives. Augmentations for humans. And a redefinition of what a human is as we move into the cyborg realm. At one point in time, there may be more hardware, mechanical, AI, electronics in the human body than tissue. And once we begin to download our brains and our minds, then we can basically inhabit different vehicles, different bodies. So this is an exciting time to be alive. Brace yourself for enormous amounts of technological changes, far more rapid than anything we have ever seen before. All right, here's an interesting video. Um, when Elon was building the Gigafactory in Shanghai, China, they had that plant operating in just over 12 months, a year. And the fundamental reason is because of a friendly atmosphere for business expansion and development. Let's phrase it that way. In other words, an absence of ridiculous regulations that slow everything down. Germany is not quite like that. They're like the United States. They love regulations. They love rules. They like to slow things down. And it wasn't just environmental concerns. It was the construction regulations, the need to look at groundwater tables and to do studies, all of which took time. By the time this factory in Grünheide, which is outside of Berlin, was going on 2 years and not completed yet, I felt compelled, since I'm German, to send a warning to the Germans about Tesla. And my basic message was, Elon is not a patient man. Look at what he did with California. He got ticked off about all the regulations there, and he opened up a massive plant in Texas, which is far more or less regulation, more regulation friendly. So, and now, of course, X is moving out as well. So what this video deals with is, look, I know Germans love rules, but you guys are going to have to think the broader picture here. Let's not worry so much about the little lizards in the forest that are going to be displaced by this large factory. Let's focus on the big picture here, which is the planet is dying. Our future generations may not have a planet. The faster we get the fossil fuel burners off the road, the better our chances for survival become. So that's what this video deals with. And we had a lot of fun with this and a lot of great feedback. Here's another series of videos. This is our Who Is video. We decided at some point there are a lot of people in the EV industry and people don't know much about them. So we've got a couple dozen videos out here, the latest one being about Mira Murati. And if you're in AI, you know who that is. But if you're not, she is the chief technology, or was the chief technology officer of OpenAI. She's now moved on, and she is looking for funding to create her own AI company, as have some of the other principals from OpenAI. So what we do with these videos is we do some research and we figure out what their background is and what relevance they have today in their industry that they're in. And if you're looking for some background information, this is a great place to go to for information about any of these people. All right. Well, you know, I think we've covered the majority of the videos that we have out there. And the purpose of this podcast was to first of all, acknowledge the fact that we finally reached the 1 million mark. Now, what does that buy us, you may say? All right. Well, the first thing that is a rite of passage with reaching the 1 million mark, YouTube will actually send us a plaque that is supposed to be gold. Now, we're hoping it's 24 karat gold, but we're thinking it may just be a gold color, but is something else that we can hang up on the wall. We got our first YouTube plaque when we reached 100,000 subscribers. And that was, what, a year and a half or so ago? And now we're going to get the gold plaque. So it gets us bragging rights. And we, again, appreciate all of the people that have helped make this happen, that have subscribed, that find our content meaningful, that chime in with the podcasts. And by the way, we do a number of them. We've got our Tuesday podcasts. 10 o'clock, we've got EV. 11 o'clock, we do the Tesla Roadster podcast. Wednesday, we do the AI podcast at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then Thursdays at 2 o'clock, we do our Com Group podcast. Or is it 3 o'clock? 3 o'clock, right, guys? And then Friday, like this morning, we do our Gruber Power Services podcast at 10 a.m. in the morning. So again, I felt it would be important to acknowledge this monumental event reaching 1 million subscribers. And let's see where we're currently at. We'll bring that up here on the screen. There we go. And it is still incrementing, 1,522,000. We look forward to continuing the momentum. We look forward to continuing to create great content for you. And if there is any particular type of content that you would like to see us focus on, as always, email us at ev@gruber.com or chime in during the podcasts and let us know. Thank you for making this happen. I'm Pete Gruber.